So let's all go back in our time machines back to April 2014. I had been living in New York for about 4 years at that point, and my life was in a pretty good place. I had been working at a big law firm that I didn't like, and I had moved to a smaller law firm. I had paid off a lot of credit card debt from law school, and I was in a relationship. And when I say that now, it feels very anti-feminist to say that. But what I want you to understand is that when I was in law school, which was from 2007 to 2010, the mainstream media was really obsessed with this idea that if you were an educated black woman, you weren't going to get married. So I would go to class, and the Washington Post would be like, "Oh, you're like a black woman who knows how to say your ABCs. Guess you ain't never going to get married." So to finally be in this relationship at that point was really great. And the guy I was dating at the time worked at this little private equity firm called Blackstone, which apparently is a very impressive place to work. I don't know if you've heard of it or not. So because my life was the most stable it had ever been in 29 years, I decided to hurl a Molotov cocktail at it and undergo genetic counseling and testing for BRCA. My mom has had breast cancer twice. She had breast cancer for the first time in 1993 when I was 8 years old, and they didn't know what BRCA was. And then she had breast cancer again when I was a senior in college, and that's when they finally figured out she had a BRCA2 mutation. So I knew that I had a 50-50 chance of having it, but because my life was so stable, and I was like, yes, someone is finally about to put a ring on it, I felt like it was the right time to get tested. So I went to NYU, I underwent genetic counseling and testing. The results came back positive. The relationship with the boyfriend ended pretty quickly. And it was really disappointing for a couple of reasons. The first was a pretty shallow one because I had drafted in my head all these emails that I would send to my friends, like, boyfriend took me to the doctor. And it was just like when Angelina said Brad used to go to the doctor with her. And he was super supportive. And I just really feel like we're in a better place now. But at a deeper level, I was like, okay, I'm going into this process and I have to pick out married woman titties. And then it was like, oh, now I'm single. So now I have to go to this process picking out single woman boobies, which is not cool. But I was really fortunate. Through some friends, I found a plastic surgeon at NYU who was really great. And she told me she was going to do a really great job with the reconstruction. But one of the really funny moments I remember is that, going through, finding out I had BRCA and deciding to have surgery was really stressful. And I didn't want people to know how stressed out I was. So I would put on this really brave face when I would talk to the doctors about it. So when you are undergoing a mastectomy and reconstruction, one of the questions that they ask you is whether the loss of your breast will impact how you view yourself sexually. So I'm at this appointment, and Dr. Axelrod is like, yeah, how are you going to sort of cope with the loss of your breast in terms of thinking about yourself as a sexual woman? And I was like, Dr. Axelrod, not to point out the elephant in the room, but I'm black. So I think as long as you let me keep that badonkadonk I'm sitting on, I think we're going to be all A-okay. Right? So I find a really good team at NYU. I have my reconstruction in December 2014. Everything goes really well. And about 6 months go by. And you know how in movies, the main character wakes up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat because they've had a major realization? So it was July 2015. I had probably billed about 70 hours at work that week. And it's a Saturday morning, and I wake up and I'm like, I haven't had sex since I've had these new boobs. I don't even know if they're good or not. I mean, the plastic surgeon told me that they're gonna feel real, but I don't have any evidence that they're gonna feel real. I gotta go out and I gotta do some field testing, right? So that Saturday morning, I was like, okay, we are implementing Operation Get Laid because I gotta know if she did a good job or not. So the first step in that plan was to find someone to have sex with. So I'm going through my email, I'm going through my text, and I had been on a couple of dates with this one guy who was also an attorney, and we'd been on 2 dates, and one of those dates I had met his friends, and I was like, okay, I think that's good enough to try to have sex with him. And I want to make something clear. I am a rules girl. So normally, I don't even think about giving up the box till day 5. But I thought that this was an emergency. I really, really needed to know whether the implants worked or not. And actually, if you buy a copy of the rules, you will see in the back that it says, if you undergo life-changing surgery, you are allowed to throw all of the rules out of the window. And I was really lucky. Since I moved to Manhattan in 2012, I have been in this Montauk summer share organized with my very good friend Adam, who's here. And someone in the house was having a party at this club in Tribeca, and I was like, all right, great. I got the target, I got a location to make this happen. We're gonna be good to go. So I text this guy, and I'm like, look, I'm going to this birthday party in Tribeca. You should totally meet me there. Would really love to see you. And he's like, okay, yes. I'll meet you there around 10. So I started laying the groundwork, right? Because I think I mentioned I'm an attorney, and I think a big part of being an attorney is like being prepared. So I go get like a fresh blowout. I go to like Bliss 49 and get like a bikini wax. I went in my closet and I found this like La Perla bra that I had like bought like right after the surgery. I was like ready to go, and I like wear this like outfit I had bought. Like, has anybody seen Mean Girls, where she talks about how like you got to show skin but not too much skin? So I had this like kind of like tank top and a skirt. And the really great thing was like back in 2015 there was this car service called Get, and you could go anywhere in Manhattan for like $10. So I like get dressed that night. I like take a Get down to this club in Tribeca, and because it was only $10, I like had enough time. Like before I go out, particularly if I'm trying to get laid, I have like a playlist that I listen to. You know, it's like you know, Britney Spears and like Genuine and like Beyonce. We gotta like the drivers gotta like roll up the partition. I think you all know what I'm talking about. Okay, so I get to this club in Tribeca. It's this place called Gold Bar. I would never be caught dead in Gold Bar, but it was really important to me to know if my implants felt good. And because we're at this Montauk party, my friend Adam that I mentioned was there. And it's really interesting. Adam, I think people would say he's a good-looking man. He's like 6'4". And a couple years ago, I went to my friend Daniel, and I was like, why do you think that when we're in Montauk, no one ever hits on me? And he was like, well, maybe it's because you're standing with that really tall, handsome guy, Adam. So I get to Gold Bar, and like Adam gets there like maybe 30 minutes later, and he keeps trying to talk to me. But I didn't want the guy I was trying to sleep with to see me talking to Adam. So Adam would like be like, hey, what's up? And I would just like shimmy away. I would be like, I don't want to talk to you. Like, I'm going to go over there. And then he would be like, do you want to go to the bar? And I was like, yeah, but only if you stand at the other side of the bar, right? Like as humanly far away from me as possible. So I'm at this place, Gold Bar in Tribeca. It's gold. The whole room is gold. And finally, like the guy that I'm like my target arrives, right? And you have probably picked up on this in the time that I'm up here. I am a little bit awkward. This whole sexy thing does not naturally come to me. So I'm kind of like tossing my hair, and I'm trying to be really sexy. I don't know if it's working or not. And finally, like we have a couple rounds of drinks, and he's like, oh, we should get out of here. And I'm just like, yes. So we get in a cab, but instead of giving him my address, he gives 2 addresses. And I'm like, fuck. I put in all this work. I got a wax. My hair looks really good. I've been out, I'm gonna like miss my shot. So as we're like coming up the FDR, I'm like, I gotta play like the one Hail Mary card I have to like try to make this happen. So I turned to him and I was like, you know, I had this really hard week at work. I built all these hours. I just really need to go to like one more bar and like blow off some steam. And he's like, okay. So we pull off and we go to this bar in Murray Hill. And what I really want to underscore for all of you right now is that should really tell you how desperate I was to get laid. Because like, I don't go to Murray Hill. I am an aspiring black bougie person. And Murray Hill is like where frat boys like go to die. So we like, so we wind up at like some shitty dive bar in like Murray Hill. We put some music like on the karaoke jukebox. We take some shots and we like go back to his apartment. And to make things even worse, he had like a roommate. So then I had to do like the whole awkward thing with his roommate. Like, hi, I'm Erika. Never gonna see you again. I'm just here to have sex with your roommate. Very nice to meet you. You know, I'm very grateful for all of you for paying to be here, but you didn't pay enough to hear about what actually happened after the door closed. So what I will tell you is that it faded to black and that I accomplished the goal that I set out to accomplish twice. So the next morning, I think we can all agree that the morning after a one-night stand is already pretty awkward, right? So when I wake up, I was like, Erika, don't be awkward. Don't be awkward. Don't be awkward. But I had put in so much work to be there, and I couldn't leave without knowing whether my breasts felt like real breasts or not. So I turned to him and I was like, hey, just so you know, like I have implants, and I was just wondering if you could give me some feedback. Like did they feel good? And he was like, yeah, they feel fine. But as I already all told you, I am an attorney and I was a litigator at the time. And I was like, no. I have put in so much work to be here. I basically put him through a deposition. I was like, fine, like how? I was like, on a scale of 1 to 10, like where do these rank in like breasts that you've touched? And if I hadn't have told you that they were fake, would you have known that they were fake? So this went on for about 5 minutes, and then I think I had an epiphany that this was awkward. So I put my clothes on, and I left, and I got like an iced coffee from Dunkin' Donuts, which is like my favorite thing to do. And then I took a cab back to Harlem. Obviously, that guy never called me again. If I had to guess, I think it's because I asked him to leave a Yelp review for my titties. I don't know. But the thing is, like in hindsight, that wasn't the important thing, right? So, I think everyone in this room can relate. Like when you learn that you have like a BRCA diagnosis, like even though I was mentally prepared to get that news, it still really knocked me off of my feet. And it was a no-brainer to me because of like my family history and just all the things in my life that I have to live for. I didn't want to live with the threat of like cancer hanging over my head. But there was a part of me that was like, if I do this, like, am I gonna become like a cynical person? Am I gonna be bitter? Like, am I gonna be the same person when I get off of that operating table? So the experience was really good because I was like, yes, I am still my like slightly sexy, mostly neurotic self. And to paraphrase Seinfeld, they might be fake, but they're spectacular. So thank you.